Welcome to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. I'm Sheila Slick, your host. And today, my special guest is Sandra Myers. Sandra has been a luxury matchmaker for nearly 30 years, and she is the president and co founder of Select Date Society. Select Date Society has been featured in Forbes, Cosmopolitan, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and Good Morning America, among others. Last year, Select Date Society ranked 639th on the Inc. 5000 list, establishing them as the premier matchmaking firm for millionaires and billionaires worldwide. Welcome to the show, Sandra.
Well, thank you for having me, Sheila.
And congratulations on almost 30 years of being in this business. Can you share with me how you got to doing what you do today?
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't even know this was a career, and I was actually selling long distance down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, for 25 cents a minute back when we used to pay by the minute for long distance. And I just started setting up people because, you had to talk to all the front end people. You had to get to know people to get to the person that made the decisions. And while I loved connecting people, so it was just something I was doing beforehand. And then when I found out that it's just lunch, their recruiter reached out to me and said, listen, it's just lunch, come to Miami. They're looking for people to be matchmakers. I was like, oh, sign me up. So I met with Andrea McGinty, who started It's Just Lunch back in 1992. And that's where my career began. I started there in 96 and was with them for over 20 years.
So, after nearly 30 years in the luxury matchmaking industry, what fundamental shift in relationship dynamics have you observed amongst the individuals that you serve?
Well, I think probably the biggest shift is that the women are the higher earners than the men a lot of the times. And the most of the women that are coming to us, their biggest challenge is that because of how much they make or how successful they've done, that they're finding it hard finding a relationship where they don't feel that the men are intimidated by the incomes that they earn. So that's been a huge shift in the last 30 years because typically it used to be the C-suite execs were all the men, and they were the people that were hiring us because they wanted, the women to be vetted so that they didn't want women that were looking for them to provide them a lifestyle. So now it's kind of the reverse. Now the women are making sure that they want a highly vetted person that we background check, that we've interviewed, that we've asked the right questions to, so that if they put themselves out there and put their heart on the line, this is someone that they can truly consider without the worry of the rest of it. And that's kind of where we found our niche market, was because of this actual change and shift in the dynamics of matchmaking.
I'm still listening. It's almost like I want you to repeat that because you caught me so off guard. I thought you were going to say, well, it shifted because of technology and we're different, but you just blew me away. So can we just repeat that the women are,
Yes.
I love that.
Well, I think that the women have been ignored in the matchmaking industry as the client. I think that the heavy weight and most services really focus on the men, and we've done the opposite. Not that we don't work with men, because we do have male clients, but we work with a very limited clientele. So we pick and choose, like, who's really here with the intention to find their person, and that's their end goal, and that's what is a priority for them in this moment in time. We don't really want to work with somebody that they're kind of dating. If something happens, it happens. Like, we want the serious client that genuinely they're ready, they've done the work on themselves, they know what they want, they can be clear about it so that we can be effective.
So, what was a pivotal business decision that helped catalyze your growth, that took you from being a boutique matchmaking service to a recognized industry leader?
I think it's when and this is going to sound so mundane, but I think when we took the money off the table and stopped worrying about the money, and Amber and I decided, you know what, we're going to run this firm with that set aside. If we could do this and didn't have to worry about the money, how would we run the firm and how would we best serve the client and how would we get the results as quickly as possible if we didn't, if we took that piece out of the equation? And that's exactly what we did. And we went from trying to get hundreds of clients, not a year, but like working with hundreds of people and expanding our team and growing and the typical growth of a company. You start and you grow and you expand and you franchise, and we did the opposite. We went from being bigger to smaller to smaller to smallest. And that's where we stand right now. And honestly, it's the most rewarding work of my 30-year career because these people, they're like family to you. And you get the results because you know them so well that the matchmaking piece actually becomes easier.
So, perhaps your market, not your market, but the people you serve is smaller. You cater to millionaires and to billionaires. And so, with that in mind, you could probably tell us some of the things that you do differently than just perhaps someone that's wanting to swipe through an app. I'm not very familiar with the apps. We talked about this, right? So if you want to give me some insights on how it works in case anyone wants to learn more about your service.
I think the confidentiality piece is the highest priority for our clients. For them to put themselves out there online and exposing themselves, because a lot of times you have to remember, the thing that they really are trying to vet at the highest level is that somebody is wanting to be with them for them, not for what they have. So when we're interviewing, potential candidates for our clients, they don't know anything about the person that we're representing. So we're interviewing them for what they want. And if it matches our client, great. If it doesn't, we move on. So rather than dangling the carrot, which most services, that's usually the way you do it to entice the person to meet your client. Well, I've got this beautiful woman and da 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 da, and you go on and on. We don't do that. We just say we're working with somebody. We want to see if you're a fit. So we'd love to interview you and find out what you want, which actually has worked really well for us because then we're dealing with true, honest information. And we know nothing's being angled to what has been told to them. Because if I tell you, oh, this guy, he's amazing, he's great, and he's got 2 houses, and you know what, he loves skiing, he loves this. And then when I interview you back, you're going to be like, oh, I love skiing. Oh, I love this. And then you go out on the date and the guy asks you, so what level skier are you? Oh, I don't know. I mean, I've never been. I would go. It's that kind of thing. We don't want our clients to have to we want them to meet people that are actually great for them, that the only thing left to hit is the chemistry. So we're going to go out on all the first dates. We're going to do all of the stuff that our clients don't want to do. So we protect their hearts. And then they go out on the date that we've found for them. We may have interviewed 10 to 15 people before we bring one to the table. And that's the beauty of this, is just putting them in a position to win because their heart in their pocket is protected.
So, do you serve just South Florida or do you serve nationwide, worldwide? What does that
Yeah,
look
we're worldwide, but our big markets, are California, New York, Florida. We have clients in Canada, Australia. So it's not, we can recruit for anybody anywhere. It's not where you are, it's not who you are, it's not how much money you have. It's, are we able to facilitate what you're asking us for? And are we able to do it with absolute confidence? When that all comes together, then we'll offer a membership. But if we don't feel good about it, honestly, we do refer potential clients to other matchmakers. If I know somebody really just wants a Hasidic Jew, and well, we may not be as well equipped as somebody that just works with Jewish clients. Or on another front, if somebody is looking for, a very sports minded person, and we know, like, oh, we know a matchmaker in your neck of the woods that's local, because they're not looking for somebody all over the country. They want somebody specifically in Boston or specifically in Texas. So we try to be mindful of, like, are we the best ones to do this? And if not, we're going to pass it along to the matchmakers who are.
So do you leverage technology to come up with the matches, or is it more the human touch because you have a smaller client base?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I love technology. I'm the first one to be on it. I just went to an AI conference here locally because I just find it fascinating. But in the same token, I use technology where I feel it's helpful. You cannot put people to paper. Somebody on paper could sound amazing. And I'm sure you've heard stories, or even yourself, somebody's told you about somebody and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a great date, right? Then you go on the date and you're like, wow, this is not fun. He's not as interesting as I thought. I created this idea of him in my head. And yet when we're in front of each other, it's landing really flat. So when it comes to what we do, instincts and experience are our best guide. And that's what we go off of. So when we're telling a client why we're going to move forward with the date, it's not going to be because, oh, they ski and they do this and they do that. It's going to be, well, when we met with him, this is what he said. And it was so on target with what we were talking about. So we're going to really delve into the qualities that most people don't think about, which are the things that bond us the most. And that no computer, no algorithm is going to be able to do that.
Love it. So I had told you before, I dated before we even had the internet. I've been married almost 30 years. So what would you say to
Congrats.
someone?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
that's
no.
great.
That's why my questions may be like, how do you leverage the technology? I do have friends that have used either an app or, they hire a firm like yours. But perhaps there's someone out there in the audience today that is divorced or looking, for their next person. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I think you have to actively be doing something to get good at it. So my advice is, like, put your toe in the water. Let your friends know that you're single and that you're ready to meet people. When you meet people out, let them know you're single. I think stating it, and I'm a firm believer of what you speak is what becomes your existence. And I manifest things all the time, and I'm not a woo type person at all, but I've just seen it work. What you speak is what comes to you. So you want to do that. And you know what? I don't think that going on apps and everything is a bad thing. If you can, like, do your due diligence and try to get as much information about the person on the front end, look them up, look at their social media, try to get a good feeling of who you're meeting, and then maybe meet them doing something that you have in common. So rather than going out on a typical date that could be really awkward for somebody just getting back into dating, like, if you both like golf, go golf. Do a half a course. I don't know. I think that's 18 holes or 9 holes. I don't even know. I'm not a golfer. Or go play pickleball or tennis, or just do an activity where you can, like, go grab, like, a drink afterwards or something if it's going well. And if it's not, you can kind of disengage without being, feeling inappropriate.
So I do have another question for you. With your boutique or your firm,
Mm-hmm.
do you also provide background checks? Because I'm assuming that if someone just goes online or, you know, uses just maybe an app, I don't know where that, the background check, like how that works. You're supposed to, stranger danger, so to speak. That's what you teach
Or
your
Tinder swindler.
yeah, like,
That's for
oh, how
most
are you going to
people.
meet someone that you met on Facebook, even though Facebook, may be more passe. Does using a service like your firm make it safer for a person rather than just randomly swiping?
Yeah, I mean, we do our due diligence. We do run background checks. We do, we're checking their social media. We're looking at all of what's on. My husband's a private investigator. There's a lot of things that you can find out about people that are actually in the public domain. But it takes a little energy and time and effort. But yeah, of course. And you have to realize that most of the people that we're connecting our clients to are working for companies that we can see their background, we can check their history, and we'll know if they've had any criminal backgrounds or liens, or it shows us all that. It's a public data check. So yeah, knock on wood, we haven't had an issue at all. But again, most people that are looking to deceive, they're usually not going to want to work with us.
Well, especially with your husband being a private investigator, you have like that level. That's wonderful. Well, where can my audience find you online?
So they can go to selectdatesociety.com, and that's the easiest way to find us. Or we have a Facebook page. We're on LinkedIn. We're on, all the social media, and you can reach out to us. There's an inquiry form online, and even if you just want to talk to us or want to just be a member in our network. To be considered for a match, you can go in and go to the inquiry form, put your information in, and just make us aware that you're not looking for representation. You're just looking to be, in our network.
Wonderful. So, what is your next step, Sandra? Or your
I
next
think,
milestone, not your next step, your next milestone?
yeah, my next milestone is to get my book done. I've been working on it for a couple of years. I just need to get it done. It's one of those things that you know it so well that it's not as interesting to you as it would be to somebody else. But I know that it really would help a lot of people, especially people that haven't dated in a long time. It's basically how to master going on a first date and understanding like where the pitfalls are, where the things that could either enhance the date or throw it off the cliff, and like how to avoid those situations and how to keep from taking the little spark and fire that's there, and how to keep from dousing it with a whole huge bucket of water because you go down the wrong road of conversation. So it's just a really quick guide of how to do it well so that you can confidently walk into a first date, whether you've been dating for 10 years or you're just getting back out there.
Well, I look forward to having you back once you're ready to launch your book. Thank
Yeah, definitely.
thank you for joining me today.
Well, thanks, Sheila. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Milestone Moments in Business and Leadership. Until next time.